Roughly 3 billion tons of goods were handled in the main EU ports in 2020. How far did they travel? Where did they come from? Consumers and handlers in the supply chain don't really know. Take produce, for example. Once the product is picked fresh from the fields, it is often sent on a truck to a packing plant, where it can be cleaned and packaged. From there, it's sent to the distributor before eventually reaching local stores. Each of these outlets may be hundreds, even thousands of miles apart, if the stops are in the country at all. But just take a look in your local supermarket. It has become the United Nations of food. We buy fresh vegetables from Africa, potatoes from the Middle East, or fruit from Latin America. In the UK, we see grapes from Chile traveling 7,247 miles. Pears from Argentina, a journey of 6,886 miles. Tomatoes from Saudi Arabia traveling a whopping 3,086 miles to get to your local supermarket shelf. Today, retailers can source food from wherever it is cheap around the globe at the touch of a computer key. Long-distance travel is not the exception, but rather the rule in our current food system. As a result, creating a long, complex supply chain, transparency and tracing these food products gets muddled, putting not only doubt of our food safety rules, but also putting a strain on our environment. We are now living in a different world. Back in early 2020, when news struck that the coronavirus was spreading like wildfire throughout the world, no one really knew what to expect and the effects it would have on the economy, our livelihoods, or to our day-to-day routines. The disruption that would ensue was something that we were not prepared for, but something we had to adapt to. Last year, undoubtedly, it was a wake-up call for firms with interruptions to the flow of raw materials and goods. Such events occur more often than you might think. As a sudden shock event, the pandemic follows on from the volcano eruptions in Iceland in 2020, a tsunami and floods in Japan and Thailand in 2011, and global NotPetya cyber attacks in 2017. Indeed, disruptions lasting a month or longer now happen every 3.7 years on average. The pandemic did end up affecting everything, from supply chains to consumer buying habits. It crippled certain businesses while others thrived. Only in the UK, 82% of SME manufacturers say the pandemic had crippled their supply chains. Not only did the pandemic shed light on these points of failure, it has helped highlight the importance of the prominence of food, and has demonstrated the inherent weaknesses of supply chains. The pandemic truly revealed the shortcomings of existing supply chains, with products, components, and materials shipped around the world on a just-in-time basis, not knowing where exactly the product was being manufactured, packaged, and how it was being distributed. It has also highlighted the fact that in our economy, we have outsourced and offshored so much manufacturing of products. The challenge for companies will be to make their supply chains more resilient without weakening their competitiveness. To meet that challenge, managers should first understand their vulnerabilities and then consider a number of steps, some of which they should have taken long before the pandemic struck. We have also established an ERC20 crypto token as a digital representation of our company's shares and to provide liquidity for our investors. We are in the process of acquiring a crypto asset exchange license. Additionally to this, we are in the application process of listing our company on the Aquis Stock Exchange to go in the traditional route of investment liquidity. We have recently and successfully conducted our pilot run of a product using our blockchain technology, initially triggering the order with our smart contract, using our escrow fulfillment process, and then tracking it all the way from the source to the shelf, where at each stage of the supply chain it was traced, allowing transparency and trustworthy process and product reaching the end of the value chain. All of these are significant steps pushing the boundaries of the current trials occurring in the blockchain supply chain, especially since most are focused on being vertically integrated and do not address the provenance of the products being ethically and sustainably sourced. As we are facing a crisis of monumental proportions, our blockchain could alter the way supply chains are operating, what buyers are actually buying, and how consumers are purchasing. A successful program could have a trickle-down approach to other sectors and markets that could change the way our whole system is predicated to work. We are confident that our platform can become a standard in the industry and substantially disrupt how supply chains function and perform and truly bring them into the 21st century and beyond, especially with blockchain technology not only facilitating how this happens, but leading it. Our licensable supply chain process and technology will be an asset to any company and supply chain wanting to modernize and create a true value chain. With an array of assets built in-house, we truly have a unique network infrastructure that when the time comes in the future where pandemics, environmental disasters, and other global disruptions will cause the traditional supply chains to fail at its weakest points, as we saw now with the COVID-19 pandemic, we are ready to answer the call as other companies will scramble to solve this issue since their infrastructure has not yet been built. We look forward to welcome you as an ESN partner and create a truly ethical and sustainable value chain together.